Good afternoon. My presentation will be titled An ERM Approach to Fighting Financial Crime Using the Bayesian Belief Networks and Bowtie Analysis. Today, I'll be presenting an analysis on combating financial crime through enterprise risk management tools. We'll explore how Bayesian belief networks and bowtie analysis can help organizations grow proactively and manage risk. I chose this to present on because I currently work in financial crime, so this has always been an interesting topic to me. The overview of the issue. Every year, financial crime costs governments and businesses billions of dollars. Examples include sponsoring terrorism, fraud, and money laundering. And this is because criminals are becoming more sophisticated. Technology is advancing, and with the technology advancing, more fraud, more scams are being created. So financial crime continues to grow in complexity and scales. Companies face regulatory penalties, operational losses, and reputational damage if they fail to detect or prevent these crimes. My conjecture is by using structured risk tools, organizations can significantly reduce exposure to financial crime. Issue statement. The goal of this project is to identify and reduce the risk of financial crime in major financial institutions. The scope focuses on operational and strategic risk in transaction monitoring and fraud detection. In this presentation, we will focus mainly on operational processes and the discussions around transaction monitoring and financial detection. Also, within this presentation, you will hear me reference anti-money laundering as AML. The background and the significance. Financial crime can bring on fines, operational inconvenience, and reputational losses. So, if a financial institution have if a financial institution ends up not reporting financial crime, that can be a loss to the financial institution, and it can also be fined a penalty. Regulatory pressure, AML and KYC compliance. KYC is know your customer. So the technology challenges with this increasing usage of digital banking rises attack surfaces. Financial crime impacts every level of an organization. Beyond direct financial loss, failing to comply with any AML and KYC, which KYC is know your customer, regulations can result in severe penalties. Digital banking growth has increased exposure, making proactive ERM approaches even more critical in this area. The relevance to risk management. Operational risk. Fraud is made possible by internal process failures. Strategic risk. Poor decision making and fraud preventing investments. And the financial risk is the direct losses of theft, fines, or regulatory actions. This case is highly relevant to the course because it demonstrates how operational, strategic, and financial risks intersect. Using ERM frameworks allows for an enterprise-wide approach, which is central to our course objective learnings. Contributing factors. Contributing factors to this includes, but is not limited to, unmonitored transactions, weak internal controls, insider threats, outdated technology, and complex regulation. These factors increase vulnerability to financial crime. Identifying and understanding these contributors is essential before we can develop a risk mitigation plan. Bayesian belief networks. Conditional dependencies in a probabilistic model maps likelihood of financial crimes based on contributing circumstances. Examples with this includes transaction volume, customer risk score, alert thresholds, and suspicious activity. Bayesian belief networks allows us to model how different risk factors interact. Bayesian belief networks allows the model to different risk factors interact. My notes. Bayesian belief networks allows us to model how different risk factors interact. For example, a high-risk customer combined with unusual transaction volume may increase the probability of fraudulent activity. Bow-tie analysis event. Fraudulent transactions identify late threats are insider collusion, system vulnerabilities, and insufficient controls. Consequences are financial losses and fines, as we mentioned before. And also preventative and mitigative controls are provided. Bow-tie analysis provides a clear visual of how threats lead to events and consequences, and where controls can be applied. Preventative controls might include stronger identification, while controls can be transaction monitoring alerts. Data and research content. Historical fraud data from industry reports, regulatory fines, and risk indicators are examined in transaction patterns. Our data sources include past fraud cases, regulatory enforcement actions, and transaction pattern analysis. This data feeds both the Bayesian model for probability calculation and the bow-tie for risk visualization. Conclusion. Integrated risk approach decreases likelihood and impacts of financial crime. Prioritizing high probability hazards is aided by Bayesian networks. Bow-tie analysis explains controls for both prevention and mitigation. The analysis shows that a combined ERM approach is effective. Bayesian networks highlight where resources should be focused, and bow-tie diagrams clarify what preventive and mitigative measures are needed. Validating the conclusions. Test predicted accuracy of Bayesian networks using historical data. Review effectiveness of bow-tie controls versus historical events, and continuous monitoring of feedback loops, and also continuous monitoring of transaction data. So we validate these conclusions by comparing predicted probabilities to historic outcomes and testing whether implemented controls reduce risk. Continuous monitoring ensures the system evolves with the emerging threats. Because as you all know, financial crime is always emerging. Something new comes out every day. Like it's an emerging field. Proactive ERM decreases financial crime losses. Escalation is avoided via early detection of high-risk transactions. Controls integration across divisions ensure enterprise-wide protection. And as a summary, financial risk, operational risk, and strategic risk are all aspects of financial crime. Risk probabilities are quantified by Bayesian belief networks. Threats, occurs, and outcomes are visualized through bow-tie analysis. Enterprise-wide risk management enables proactive, not a reactive production. So, To wrap it up, in summary, using both probabilistic and visual risk tools give organizations a comprehensive visual of financial crime. ERM also allows them to proactively reduce loss and maintain regulatory compliance. And these are my references. Thank you.